All right, hello and welcome to another Expert Insight interview. My name is John Golden from SalesPOP Online Sales Magazine and Coavera, formerly Pipeliner CRM. Joining you as usual from a sunny San Diego. And today I'm delighted to be joined from outside New York by Glenn Fleischman. How are you doing, Glenn?
Hi, John.
And Glenn, you're the Chief Revenue Officer at AYTM, an AI-powered consumer insights platform where you lead revenue strategy and help organizations connect AI research and business outcomes. Over 2 decades of experience building and scaling sales and revenue teams across SaaS, MarTech, and enterprise technology. You have been in senior leadership positions at Zappi, Invoca, NinjaCat, Arcaden, and working across the US, UK, and Asia. And you're a big advocate for people adopting technology rather than resisting it, or embracing technology rather than resisting it. Do you remember? I mean, we've been through some significant technology changes over the years. Like maybe the internet is the first, was the first really big one. And your experience back then, how has that shaped your experience today with technology adoption?
Yeah, that's a great experience. That's a great question. So sadly, at my age, this is not my first rodeo. Been through just about all the major
Hmm.
technology shifts since I entered the workforce in '92.
Hmm.
And I had a profound experience when I was a sales rep, a young sales rep, around 95, 96, as the internet was first coming
Hmm.
into sales. And we had customers who were starting to ask us for email addresses. They didn't want to
Right.
fax or mail us things anymore. So, I'd go to my boss, hey, can I please get an email address, a company email address, or at least can I at least expense an AOL account or something? And in a scene straight out of The Office, he pulled us into the conference room, held up a computer monitor in one hand and a telephone in the other hand, and said, "This, the computer monitor, is a toy. This, the phone, is a tool. If you're going to be a salesperson, use the tool. If you want to be a child, use the toy." So ever since that moment, obviously that comment did not age well. And
Yeah.
ever since that moment, I've always had it really front and center of my mind to lean into every technology shift, whether that was the internet, mobile, social media, and now AI, everything that's come along, in this career I've had.
Mhm. And so what do you see like today? Because there's a lot of people very, very overwhelmed now because of AI and the pace of which it's come. Because I mean, as we said, the internet wasn't overnight. Even cloud computing took a while for people to move into the cloud. This is at breakneck speed, and people are a lot of people are overwhelmed. What would be your advice to leaders and organizations or professions who are feeling overwhelmed?
Yeah, well, they say the way to eat an elephant is bite by bite,
Right.
and I would say the way to take on AI is the same exact way. It is overwhelming, by the way. It's overwhelming for me.
Hmm.
It's overwhelming for everybody. So I don't think you need to feel like you're ready to run OpenAI tomorrow,
Hmm.
but everybody can start with the smallest little things. For example, I used my Claude account to train for this podcast. I consumed all the sales pop media, everything I could find about you into a prompt, and I had to prepare me a preparation guide. And in a half hour, 45 minutes, I felt pretty well prepared for this. So that's something anybody can do.
Hmm. Yeah,
If you were, say, preparing for a sales meeting.
no, absolutely, and I think that's a great piece of advice. Is just start simple. But tell me, just from a as you're a chief revenue officer, what is AI going to do to sales, and who are the salespeople who are going to excel?
Yeah, that's a great question. So AI is already helping just about every corner of what we do, from sales enablement
Hmm.
to doing some of the grunt work and the more task oriented stuff around outbound and around inbound messaging and prospecting. It's we're in the process. We haven't felt the positive impact in it yet,
Hmm.
but one of the most painful parts of the sales process in my world is pricing. Pricing
Right.
has to be very complicated in what we do and very manual. We're building agents to be able to really take all the human out of that and to be able to effectively input into a screen a couple of data points and get back a really accurate price proposal, customer facing price proposal quickly.
Right.
So all those kind of things are really like either here or, days or weeks away.
Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of things that can come and help, like make things faster, automate, take away rote and routine tasks and all of that.
Mm.
What then does the because if your job is if you're a salesperson, if you're very task driven and everything and less strategic, you're going to have a few issues in the future because the tasks are going to be automated. What kind of salesperson is really going to excel?
Yeah, the truth is, in enterprise sales, right? It's not the task folks that are generally the ones that are
Yeah.
excelling. It's the ones who do great discovery, who consistently apply a discovery framework. Like I know spin is big for you. For me, I'm a medpic guy. It's the ones who have empathy, bring empathy into their sales conversations, can know how to read the room, know how to react, know how to handle objections, know how to know how to find additional stakeholders. None of those skills are going away. So, and I don't see AI doing any of that in enterprise sales where I live. Maybe on SMB type, really transactional sales, AI will play a bigger role. But I don't see the enterprise sales rep completely going away anytime soon.
No, we would agree with you. We think, in fact, I think this should really elevate the best of those type of salespeople because, as you said, it takes all the other stuff away. It allows them to be more creative, build a relationship, all of that, be more informed when they're having conversations. And so that I think it's going to absolutely elevate those people who sell that way anyway.
And think about it. Every single technology shift we've experienced has made sales reps basically have bigger quotas, be able to
Mhm.
handle bigger
Right.
quotas, and be able to do more. I mean, when I started, there was no CRM. I had index cards with leads
Mhm.
on each one, and had to do an hour or two of desk research, meaning go to the library to do research.
Mhm.
So, I mean, every technology shift has made us greatly more efficient, and I don't see this to be any different.
Yeah, and what you do, market research and consumer insights and all of those they've been pretty manual in the past, right? And also a lot of human interpretation. How does that work now with AI so that you still get the best? You get the information, but you still get the human. You still get the human nuance to it.
Yeah, that's such a great question. So, in market research and insights were traditionally handled in an agency manner where you
Hmm.
had expensive humans working on a project together with their customers. Over the last 10 years, it's become there's a major piece of it, and certainly where we play is something called the DIY era, where
Hmm.
there are platforms for researchers to be able to actually run the research and connect to their panels. We are bringing in the next era, which we are calling AIY, and that is where the market research and the consumer insights expertise is built into the platform. So anyone in brand or in strategy or in marketing can get on a platform and not have to have a master's degree from a consumer insights program and be able to run world class research. So having that expertise built in to get through all the heavy statistics and the other things that normally you needed a specialist person for. Those walls are starting to break away.
Yeah, and then that leads it to the real experts can then like look at the data, look at all of this and interpret it in different ways. So it's a kind of an elevation, isn't it? Letting AI do the donkey work.
It's and by the way, I wouldn't even call this donkey work.
Yeah, no, no,
I get your point, and your point is exactly right. But what I would say is, you speak historically, you speak to any data engineer, and
Mhm.
they'll tell you 90% of what they do is boring cleaning up of data.
Yeah.
So 10% is the fun stuff of, actually engineering data and doing analysis. It's going to be the same. You'll be able to trade low value work for higher value work.
Mhm. So, I mean, you're kind of at the intersection of AI, consumer insights and business strategy and all of that.
Mm.
Um, what's your how are you? What's your process like internally to get all of those working well together?
Yeah, it's well. I would say we've been experimenting and trying to, not trying to, we've been leveraging AI since it became available to us over the last, let's say,
Mhm.
12, 18 months in our company. In some ways with great success, and in some ways, we've made real mistakes. And maybe I'll answer your question by sharing a mistake we made,
Mhm.
which is maybe a learning experience for everyone.
Sure.
Our company is relatively new to outbound. We were fortunate enough to get a lot of our demand through referrals and events and marketing content, organic, whatever. So we've only built an outbound motion in the last 12 months. And when we started saying, "Hey, let's supercharge our outbound with AI. Let's really turn it over to outbound, and get
Mhm.
10 reps for the price of two, 10 SDRs for the price of two." What we found was our motion wasn't really nailed down. Our content wasn't great. It was underperforming outbound. And so, of course, when we tried to bring AI into it, we were just scaling underperforming
Yeah.
motion. And what did we get? Of course, scaled underperformance. So, that made us really look hard in the face and say, okay, if the human process isn't right, if you haven't nailed the motion with humans, then AI, maybe AI can help you nail that and get that right. But until you get that right, don't try to scale with AI.
Yeah, and I think that is such an important thing is that because well, there's a few things. Number one, if you want to bring AI into your company and your data isn't clean, um, the AI and you're going to use AI with your own data, it's not going to be very successful, right? Because your data isn't clean. So you got to have your data clean. The other thing that you said, and I think that's so important, especially because everybody's so gung ho on automation, is look at as you said, look at the processes first as the human processes and see how and examine them and see if they're actually efficient or are you actually going to, as you said, you're just going to automate crappy processes, which you get automated crappy processes.
Yeah, and you can't underestimate your point about getting the data right,
Mhm.
because while AI is amazing in ingesting a lot of unstructured data and being able to bring sense of that, again, I'll give you another example where we didn't get it right. To my new business team's credit, they are really making an effort to connect and build long-term relationships with their prospects and the people they're
Mhm.
dealing with. One of the ways they do that is by doing a lot of communications in text.
Mhm.
And those text communications were not making it into the deal flow. They weren't in our CRM. They weren't
Right.
in our Gong reviews. So of course, when you start relying on the AI and Gong to forecast what's going to close, what's not going to close, do deal reviews, it's got an incomplete picture because it's
Yeah.
missing data. And so we're really in the process of working to make sure we don't lose that relationship building of being able to use text as a comms channel with our customers, but getting it included in the data set that we're using to analyze deals.
Hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely, and it's really interesting in that way is that people aren't paying enough attention to the quality of data in their company, and that's it. I mean, if you think about, we've never been very good. People have always been, there's duplicates in here, there's this in here, there's incomplete, and the other challenge that you said is as well is that there's all these different ways of communicating with customers and prospects now, and we have to kind of capture them all.
Yeah, and we're pretty good. We've got phone calls, we've got Zoom and Teams calls, we've got LinkedIn messages, but we were mixing good old text.
Hmm. And the thing is about that is, I mean, as I said, because people have different ways of communicating, so you have to be able to communicate to them in those different ways. Um, what do you say for maybe people who are more advanced in their careers, right? And they're going, wow, oh, that's all I need, another wave of technology. What's your advice to them to be able to navigate through this?
Yeah, I mean, it's become a cliche at this point, but I really believe a lot of cliches are cliches because they're true. Um, uh, it's highly unlikely in our world, enterprise sales, you're going to lose your job to an agent.
Hmm.
You could lose your job to someone who's more effective at using AI than you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So lean into the change. Eat the elephant, bite by bite by bite. Even little bits of, you don't necessarily have to vibe code the most amazing agent, but
Yeah.
if you can learn how to prompt engineer well and write an effective prompt and get results that save you 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour a day, you're right in the middle of the pack. You're making progress. You're keeping up.
Yeah, and the other thing too yeah, and the other thing too is learning how to communicate with AI, because when you do, and you start to communicate with it like it's somebody there to help you, like it's. I mean, I always think of it like my AI is like I've got a bunch of PhDs who have 30 years business experience there to help me whenever I want. And I think that's when people start to look at it that way, it becomes again, you can almost develop a relationship with your AI, because if you get into that conversational mode, it gets so much deeper faster.
That's one half of the equation. The other half of the equation is it gets to the more you use it, the more it gets to know you. That
Yeah.
context and knowledge persists. So the 100th answer it gives you is so much better than the first answer it gives you.
Mhm.
And everyone's got that first chat GPT experience, right? Where they gave a one sentence prompt and got, AI slop as
Mhm.
an answer.
Yeah.
You can get better at not getting AI slop.
Absolutely. And in fact, if you do it long enough, I have some of mine like with Claude, where sometimes it'll actually remind me that I said something different.
Yeah, I'm
They'll
sure.
say they'll say, "This is in conflict with what you said before about blah, blah, blah," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, nice one, nice catch."
But right, that's the human condition. Our opinions change day to day and conflict day to day, and it's totally okay.
Yeah, but like you're right though. I think that's the people don't realize, like the more you use, the more you converse with it, the more it learns about you and all of that, the better the answers you're going to get. And and remember, just like you would if you were talking to another person, is like you got just like you would on a discovery call. You just don't take everything at face value. You go deeper. You validate. You try to uncover what's behind that. You can do the exact same thing in a conversation with AI to get really good results.
Yeah, I mean, I'm almost never using the first response it gives me when I give it a prompt. In fact, it's the iteration, the vibe
Yeah,
coding of the answer after that first one is where really all the value comes in.
yeah, absolutely. So where do you see this going? I mean, where do you see AI, particularly on the sales side? Where do you think the future looks like?
I mean, there's some obvious low hanging fruit. That I think are going to make humans more powerful. And I'll try to I'll push it in the context of my situation, which
Mhm.
is enterprise sales into a very complex vertical category where I mean the people we sell to are experts in
Yeah,
market research in their domain. They know a lot. It's very hard for a salesperson to know as much as the person they're across the table from
yeah.
virtually. So we've been building these things. I'm calling them sales caddies. You can think of them as sales companions. For example, like all of our in our platform, all of our AI functionality we call it Skipper.
Mhm.
Um, we our platform does so much, it's very hard to keep that straight. And in the past enablement we would have done a big grand training, and there would have been materials and various cloud drives and in Slack conversations that you would spend an hour to find. Now we've got a Skipper sales caddy that for all each of our different personas, what to talk about, how to sell it, how to describe it, what it does. It's right there side by side in your conversation, so you have it in context, in stride when you need it. And I think that's the future of sales enablement. Maybe the lowest hanging
Yeah.
fruit and the thing you can do with the least amount of data connections and data cleaning pain that we're probably all going through right now.
Mm. And do you see any new roles or responsibilities emerging as well as AI becomes more embedded in sales?
I mean, it's going to new roles. I say it a different way, right? There will be new roles, no doubt.
Mhm.
There, just as 20 years ago, there was no such thing as a social media marketing manager, and now that's
Mhm.
one of the
Yeah.
biggest jobs you can have in
Mhm.
marketing. There will be new roles, but what I can tell you was what I'm facing and what I'm doing right now is all my open roles are being rewritten for AI capabilities.
Yeah.
You can't get a job in my organization without being able to show a portfolio of some things you've already done in AI. That's a mandatory prerequisite. It's in the job description. So we're now rewriting all of our open roles, not for what we need today, but for what that role is going to be in 2 years.
And you know what I like about that, Glenn, is I think that's a great thing for people to take away, is that is going to be a requirement in the future. Let's face it, I mean, most salespeople, when you turn up for a job, it's here's my track record, here's what I've sold, blah blah blah, good companies. Now you're talking differently. It's going, okay, that's all great. Now show me what how you're leveraging AI to be, even more effective. That's going to be a whole new frontier for many salespeople to suddenly realize they're going to get asked about their AI capabilities, not just their previous sales
Yeah.
performance.
I've been talking. Anyone who finds this and does the research that's interviewing with us, you're going to get a little cheat code right now, which is great. But I've been talking with one of my sales managers. Usually, in the interview process, we give them a prompt, and sometimes it's a fake discovery call, it's a pitch, or something like that. Now we've been talking about changing that prompt to effectively giving them a situation and do the desk research with me live in real time. Show me how you're going to do the desk research.
Wow.
And how you're going to, in 10 minutes, prepare for this call you have that just came in inbound. And that may be the new way we start testing people, or one of the elements that we test for.
Yeah, and I think that's a really clever idea, actually, to see it live in real time, because let's face it, that's the thing that we've always struggled with, particularly when hiring salespeople, is you kind of only have what you have to go on, their track record and what they do in interviews. You have really nothing else, like, where other people have portfolio, now being able to actually say, okay, let me see how you do this, how you do it efficiently, let's go. That is going to differentiate, and that's a great. So if you're out there watching as a salesperson now, you should start thinking about, maybe your next job or whatever, like, how can you show them that you're the AI savvy person?
And this gets back to why you have to lean into it now and take little bites and get started, because there's just absolutely no doubt in 5 years, and almost no doubt in 2 years, that it will be part of every job interview in enterprise and mid-market sales. So yeah, now's the time.
Fantastic. Well, listen, Glenn, thanks so much for all these great insights. All of Glenn's information will be below this video, but before we go, please do remind people about you and what you do.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So, I've spent my whole career in telecommunications and SaaS, and customer-facing leadership, running sales and CS organizations, typically in MarTech SaaS, marketing research SaaS. So, our company does, as we said, is a consumer insights platform aimed at large enterprises and aimed at mostly B2C, large enterprises in CPG, consumer tech, financial services, telecom, those kind of things. So I'm spending the rest of my career focused on transferring knowledge, mentoring, building skill sets, teaching people how to ethically succeed in sales, and to build amazing long-term relationships with customers, because that's the only thing that really works.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, listen, thanks again, Glenn. Thank you for watching and listening. I'll see you all again very soon.